The following is a class on the Srimad Bhagavatam, First Canto, Second Chapter, Text number 20, given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, recorded on October 31st, 1972, in Vrindaban, India.
एवं प्रसन्न मनसु भगवत भक्ति योगता भगवत तत्व विज्ञानम मुक्त संगस्य जाय. So the absolute truth is scientific knowledge. It is not sentiment. I accept somebody as God by votes. That is not Bhagavat Tattva Vijnana. One must know what is the definition of God. It is not that somebody comes forward with a long beard and says, I am God, and we just accept him as God. No, not like that. It is Vijnana. Vijnana means science. Without scientific knowledge, one cannot understand what is God. Bhagavat Tattva Vijnana. And who can understand this Vijnana, this scientific knowledge? Mukta Sanghasya, one who is liberated from the contamination of the three modes of material nature. He can understand. Those who are contaminated with tamagun, rajagun, they can create their own God. There are different types of God also. In one sense, everyone is God. God means the controller. Everyone is, to some extent, a controller. But as I have explained several times, real controller means who is not controlled by others. That is God. If I am controlled by the material nature, Daividhyesa gunamayi mama maya durattaya. Birth, death, old age and disease. If I am controlled by these conditions of nature, then how I can become God? God is never controlled. Therefore, one who can understand God must be free from the contamination of this material nature. Mukta Sangha. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na sochati na kang samas sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti lavate para. When one has realized Brahma, Prasannatma, Brahma Bhuta Prasanna, here also it is said, Evang Prasanna Manaso, the same thing you will find everywhere. There cannot be any contradiction. Prasanna Manaso and Prasanna Atma, the same thing. So how one can become Prasannatma or Prasanna Manaso? That is described here. Bhagavad Bhakti Yogat. Evang Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogat. If you accept Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga, devotional service to the Lord, it shall be Prasanna Manaso. You shall be always feeling jolly. If I am not jolly, if I am not prasanna manaso, that means Maya has attacked me. Bhagavad Bhakta shall never be aprasanna, not joyful, always joyful. But if he is actually in contact with Krishna, how he can become morose? No. If he is morose, if he is unhappy, that means Maya has attacked. This is the test. Rupa Goswami says, Utsaha, we shall be always enthusiastic, but we cannot become enthusiastic artificial. There must be Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga. Just like these visitors in the temple, see how much enthusiastic they are. They are rising early in the morning, going to take bath in the Jamuna, and they are visiting so many temples, especially the Damodar temple, because it is Damodar month. And from 5 o'clock or more, or before that, 3 o'clock, they are enthusiastic. They are not sleeping very nicely. That means lack of Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga. It is Maya. So you must be very careful. Test. If we cannot rise early in the morning, that means we are under the clutches of Maya. This is the test. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore says, Jiv jago, Gura Chanda bole, Koto nidra jao maya pisachi ga koi. Sleeping is very dangerous. It is to be understood that I am under the clutches of Maya. The more we sleep. Because the symptom of tamagun is laziness and sleep. This is the symptom of tamagun. Laziness and sleeping. And the symptoms of rajagun, very active, but just like monkey. Monkeys are very active, but all injurious. Wherever they will sit, they will not a single moment they are inactive, but all foolishness. That is passion. And goodness means knowledge. So, in the previous verse, it is described how to come to the platform of goodness. When one comes to the platform of goodness, then he becomes prasanna manusya, because he is not attacked by the modes of ignorance and passion. Means laziness, sleep, and foolishly active. Foolishly active is more dangerous than less active. Because if one is dangerous, it is better not to become very much active. Because just like this monkey, you will find always very active, but nobody likes them. As soon as the monkey comes, everyone drives, get out, get out, get out. Therefore, we should not be lazy and sleepy at the same time, not foolishly active. We must come to the real standard of life, goodness. Then we can begin our devotional service. That is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Brahma bhuta prasannatma nasotati nakankati samas sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti lavate param. After being Brahma bhuta, after understanding clearly aham brahmasmi, one can take to transcendental loving service of the Lord. Not that before if we take bhakti yoga, of course, he shall become gradually Brahma Bhuta also. Bhakti yoga is so nice that it does not depend on any condition. Ahituki apratihata. Apratihata means not under any condition. You can begin. In whichever position you are, you can begin immediately. We can begin hearing about Krishna from any point. Sravanam Kirtanam. It doesn't matter. And if you follow strictly the Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga process, then automatically you are situated above goodness. Sagunan samatittaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpat. Anyone who has taken seriously devotional service, Vasudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayodita Janayati Asu Vairagam. Liberation means knowledge and detachment. Knowledge, full knowledge means that I am not this body, I am spirit soul, and my bodily activities are not congenial for my ultimate goal of life. I must engage myself in spiritual activity. This is called Jnana and Vairagya. When one knows that he is not body, then why should he work hard day and night for maintaining this body? That is knowledge. And Kurmis, they are trying to maintain this body. Sometimes Kurmis also take to Bhakti Yoga, not Bhakti Yoga, so-called Bhakti. But their aim is how to maintain this body nicely. That is also accepted. Akama sarva kamoga moksha kamodar. Because if you take to Bhakti Yoga, even for maintaining this body nicely, that is also very nice. Because gradually, due to the influence of Bhakti Yoga, he will come to the platform of Mukta Sangha. Bhakti Yoga is so strong. The Shastra recommends that either you are Kurmi, either you are Jnani, either you are Yogi, you take to devotional service, your all desires will be fulfilled. That is the injunction. Akama sarva kamo ba moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena jajeta paramam purush. This is the recommendation. It is all inclusive. If you have got desire, like the Karmis or the Jnanis or the Yogis, you take to Bhakti Yoga, Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga, you will become Prasanna Manasa. You will be enlivened. You will come to the platform of joyfulness. Anandamaya Abhyasa. Spiritual life means Anandamaya. There is no displeasure, always Ananda. That is spiritual life. Spiritual life means Ananda and material life means anxiety. You can distinguish. If you are always put into anxiety, that is material life. And if you are always jolly, that is spiritual life. Anandamaya Abhyasat. So, here it is the same thing. Because one has taken to Bhakti Yoga, he must be prasanna manaso, very joyful. If you are full of anxiety, how you can understand the science of God? That is not possible. So, evang prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti. By execution of Bhakti Yoga, you come to the platform of transcendental bliss, prasanna manaso. Transcendental spiritual life means eternal blissful life of knowledge. That is spiritual platform. And material life means temporary life of miserable condition. Temporary life of miserable condition. That is material life. And spiritual life means eternal blissful life of knowledge. This life is temporary, but when we are transferred to our spiritual life, that is eternal. Satchidananda Vigraha. We are also part and parcel of Satchidananda Vigraha. Vigraha means form. Satchidananda does not mean impersonal. That is foolishness, another foolishness. Ananda cannot be impersonal. You can make experiment. Suppose if you are put into a big room without any man coming there, so you cannot feel very comfortable for a long time. You will feel lonely. You shall try to come out. Just like we have got experience. Everyone has got experience. When we rise very high in the sky, but we cannot remain in that condition more than at most 8 to 10 hours. Then we become very much restless. Although it is very high in the sky, but we cannot remain in that way. Therefore, Shastra says, Arujya krichena parang padang tata patanti adha anadita jusmadang. One who does not take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, he may rise up very high by austerity and penance, but he cannot remain in that position. He may give up artificially this material world, Jagat Mithya, but he has to come down again to this Mithya Jagat and open his schools and hospitals. Because he cannot remain in that impersonal way. That is the experience. All so-called Brahmavadi, they say that we have become liberated, but not liberated. That is simply concoction, vimukta manina. They think like that. Actually they are not liberated. Avisuddha buddha. Without being liberated, when one speaks that I have become liberated, that means avisuddha buddha. The intelligence is not clear. He does not know what is liberation. Liberation means prasanna manaso, full of joyfulness. That is liberation. Evang prasanna manaso bhagavat tattva vijnana. Tattva means truth. You have to understand Bhagavan in truth. So that to understand in truth, that is a science. That is not sentiment. Vijnana. In another place, Krishna says, to advise Brahma, Chatusrati Bhagavad, Jnanam, in the Bhagavad Gita also, Jnanam Sabhijnanam. Jnanam me paramam gujyam jad vijnana samannitam. The Jnanam me paramam guhyam. The knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very, very confidential. Jnanam me paramam guhyam jad vijnana samannitam. It is not sentiment. It is full of scientific knowledge. So, when we understand the truth, the absolute truth, scientifically, that is called Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam. That Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam is understandable by a person who is liberated. One who is very busy, anxious with politics, sociology, humanitarianism. One who is very busy always in politics, how he can become interested or how he can understand Bhagavat Tattva Vijnana? That is not possible. Therefore, these are the tests to understand. A politician may pose himself that he is very advanced in spiritual life, but when he sees that he is more interested in politics than in Krishna, then we can understand what is his position. These are the tests, or politics or sociology or anything. A pure devotee is always interested how Krishna would be satisfied, just like Arjuna. Of course, when one is interested in that way, all other things, subordinate things, they come within. Just like Arjuna was a great devotee of Krishna, at the same time he was a politician also. So, but the first interest is to become Krishnite, how to satisfy Krishna. Not that for political purpose I love Krishna. No. You love Krishna and your all problems, political, social and other things will be solved. This is Krishna consciousness. You don't require to attempt for political reasons and make Krishna consciousness secondary. Therefore we say that if people, not all, if some percentage of the whole population of the world become Krishna conscious, then all the problems of the world will be solved. We don't expect that 10% people will be Krishna conscious, but simply a few percent, say 5%, if the people of the whole population they become Krishna conscious, then the face of the world will change. Isavasamidam sarvam. Because if the leaders, they understand Krishna consciousness and act accordingly, the others will follow. Jad jad ashriti shrestha tat tat eva itarejana. Itarejana, common man, follows the leaders. So, evang prasanna manaso. How to become happy mood of life, that is described here, Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga. One has to take the Krishna consciousness. And Mukta Sanghasya, Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sanghasya Jayate. Nobody can understand Krishna unless he is liberated from the influence of the modes of material nature.